Hey now.
Hey now. well, welcome to the Larry Sanders Show.
Did you hear what Carl said the other night about the intro? He thought he sounded like, he was giving all these compliments. He said it sounded like Jeff Beck, and it sounded like the Yardbirds, and it sounded like the Rolling Stones in 1963 at a rave up. And I'm going, oh my gosh.
God, see, you've got it. Somewhere in those fingers. The tone is there.
Oh, dude.
Oh, dear. If we say good morning, we've got a few people in the chat. Good morning, Nikki Ice. Crucible of Fire. That's a great name, isn't it? Crucible of Fire. Susie Terry. Good morning, Susie. How you doing? And thank you for the message, Susie. We agree. We've got Mickey Settlemire. Morning, Mickey. How you doing? And D-Tube, formerly DT. Can we call you DT still? DT. So,
yeah, I just call him DT.
Bewildered. And we've got Gussie Wells.
Gussie.
Gussie, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
Hope
you're all right. Time. And the mighty Guitar Hack. Hey, Guitar Hack, awesome. How you doing? Shall we start? Can we say that the show last night has been deleted because we apologise for the people who were there. It's not the sort of thing we wanted to do, and not the sort of content that we want to have on our channel. So we apologise if anybody was upset by that, because we weren't we?
Yeah, well, you know, I had it in the private. If you guys aren't aware, you can limit your videos to certain people to watch. You can private a video, so obviously only you can private it, or delete it, and or obviously make it public. So, you know, after watching some of the segments on the show that we had last night, and a chat with Simon, we came to the decision that it's not even worth holding in our digital library, so we deleted it.
Nope.
And I just want to echo Simon's sentiments too. You know, we were, a little bit perplexed about it, but it's something that we don't want to do. We don't want to be in a position where we're offering foul language all the time, and we certainly don't want to be in a position where we're berating and putting down other YouTubers, because that's not what we are about. Our channel is about moving on from that negativity through social media, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah, completely. Yeah. You know, and what we do here is talk about British blues and about music and about the bits that surround it, and not that. So we apologise to people who were offended. We were offended. Thanks, Susie. That's very kind of you. But you know, I don't think that that people need to be put through that myself. So anyway, we will be moving back to what we normally do, which is talking about music and stuff, and we'll be trying to keep the language to a minimum, really.
Yeah.
You know, so we'd appreciate, guys in the chat, if you not saying no swearing ever, but just, not gratuitous, please.
Yeah, I think it, and also, putting down other YouTubers, that's not what we're about.
No,
so
that's nothing to do with us either.
What I'll do over the next couple of days, guys, I'm going to throw out some wrenches, because what normally happens after you have a bit of an altercation or a discussion or an event, whatever you want to call it, there might be some repercussions for the channel. So, if you guys can do Simon and I a favour by looking after the chat, obviously we want to grow the channel, and having people that are going to contribute and be positive in the chat's also part and parcel of what we want to do. So we'll throw out some wrenches. Susie Cherry will give you a wrench, and I think Sonia's got one.
Sonia's got one, yeah.
DT, we'll just throw out a few wrenches there. So so let's move on. Look, I really enjoyed that show I did on Friday with Carl.
Oh,
If you
get your yah-yahs out, yes,
yeah.
indeed.
The
Anyway,
interesting
what
thing
is
with
a
Carl is
yah-yah
that
anyway? What is that? What is a yah-yah?
oh, it's a line from a blues song. But the interesting thing with Carl is that we can't have him on a regular basis because of his work, and he wants to contribute to the channel. He watches a lot of the reruns, and when he's doing his ironing, sometimes he watches the channel. So, yeah,
What he's doing is ironing. There's an image.
yeah. Oh, well, being a real estate guy, it's pretty tough, and the weekends, are a little bit different. We all know what real estate agents do, they're working 24/7, basically.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'd say he's busy and he's got a new business, and hats off to him because he's making a success out of it, which is really cool. Sadly, the thing that suffers is you and him doing a show, which is sad for me.
Oh well, even the Sunday show, because that's the main show. But
Anyway.
yeah. But I enjoyed that. He was hopefully later on. I don't want to give it away too much, but there could be a guitar. There could be a new guitar day. But it's not my guitar. Yeah, it's not my. It's not. It's not me.
Already, you're giving it away too much.
It's him.
It's him. Oh, really? NGD. I don't say that. We will, Gutty. We will pass your message on. And it's really good to see you. I haven't seen you for ages and in chats and stuff, Gutty. So if you're good, then that's
thanks
that's
everyone
really
for
cool.
Joining us. We appreciate that.
Yes, thank you guys for joining us. DT says, tell him to get his priorities right. Yeah, stop ironing and get on. You can't show people around houses with a crumpled shirt, DT. That really is not the thing.
No.
At all.
He scrubs up pretty well too.
He scrubs up, see? Shirt, tie. Hope he's wearing a tie. Is he wearing a tie?
Yeah. When he's when it's over $500,000, he's wearing a tie.
He's wearing a tuxedo. He's got to Christopher Yeleskas. I hope I've pronounced your name right, Christopher. Welcome
Hey,
to the show.
Christopher.
Thanks for joining. Yeah, wearing a tuxedo. More than 500,000. Mind you, 500,000 in Australia. What does that get you? A 2-bedroom apartment.
Yeah, well, it won't get you much here either, actually.
See, won't get you much down in the southern regions of God, yeah, not half. Anyway, today's subject. Are we ready for today's subject?
Yeah.
The album. We're getting back to. We're getting to the album. So this is the album that. This is my third choice, I think, or fourth. Yeah, third, I think. Third choice of blues albums that particularly interest me. There's a certain amount of cheating going on, I feel here, but in that, of course, Jimi Hendrix is an American, not an Englishman, but it has 2 Englishmen on it, Mitch Mitchell and Noel Redding. It's produced by Chas Chandler, none more English, from the great city of Newcastle, Wayman, formerly the Animals, and therefore, my feeling is it was made in Britain as much as you can get from a blues album. Obviously, Jimi Hendrix bringing all his American stuff, but this is the. I think this is a bit of cheat. Also, this is the stereo version, not the original mono version, because in 1967, 66 when this came out, 67, the mono was really the thing. Mono was king in 67, and and so the stereo thing was a bit of an afterthought. And I think this is the American version. But I'll just bring around. I don't know when you first got into Hendrix. I first got into Hendrix via this, Andrew. This is my first. experience of Jimi Hendrix. I don't know if people. This was a film, basically, soundtrack recording for a film, and all about Jimi Hendrix. And it has
Interesting
Haze,
that he's playing an acoustic.
an acoustic,
For all that Jimi Hendrix is famous for,
on the cover.
On that album, which is a famous album, it's an introduction into Hendrix for a lot of people. Simon, look at him; he's pretty cool, isn't he? It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, he's always cool. he's absolutely cool. Look, and there's a load of. I'll show you the inside cover. There's loads of pictures from his youth and stuff, which is really cool.
So when did that album hit? When did that drop, Simon? That album? Can you?
I think 73, 1973. Okay. This recording is available on cassette and stereo cartridge.
Hey, Brad.
Hey, Brad. How you doing? Great, Anzini. Good morning.
No skipping any songs.
No, there'll be no skipping in this one, Brad. Not from my side, anyway. And if Andrew skips, then we'll know. But so yeah, I mean, it contains some live recordings and basically some live footage, and that picture is him playing Red House.
Yes.
In the film, he plays Red House on an acoustic guitar string acoustic. It's really cool. Yeah. But yeah, really good. So that was kind of my introduction, really. That's where as I went to see the film, 73 is about the right time for me. And
so you got that album when it dropped in 73.
Yeah, in 73.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
so you didn't get that like 20 years later or 10
years
later?
No.
Okay, cool.
That's original 73, and cool. I've had that for nearly getting on for 50 years. So it's a really cool record as well. I really liked it, and I think it's a really good introduction to Hendrix. But but then obviously this is later. I got this when I worked in the record shop. This will have come in, and it was the stereo version. So I got it as the stereo version. When I could have Saturday bonuses of records, which is cool. On Saturdays, I could have a Saturday bonus, which I could get if I put some records aside. Second hand, I could have them without paying for them, which is pretty cool. So thank you, Tony. Look at that Reprise. On the Reprise record, which is definitely American. It's here, they're on the track. Decca. But so obviously if we wheel ourselves back to I have a check it out. Gussie has got a JMP Marshall 1971 Super. Wow, Gussie, I bet that lot makes a tremendous row. Do you join them all together in a massive dry wet rig?
Hey,
make a sound like no other. Morning, Mitch. How you doing?
Great Vanzini. G'day.
Vanzini, yeah, Great Vanzini's in. It's so basically, if we wheel ourselves back, and the reason I chose it is because I think it is one of the great seminal British blues albums. Blues is obviously American, and Jimi Hendrix obviously bringing whatever he bought and things. So, but made in the UK is about as applicable as I think as anything that Cream did and stuff like that. And it's obviously people know the story about Chas Chandler went to the US, and went to see Jimi Hendrix in a club with Linda Keith, and decided to bring him back to the UK because he wasn't really doing much in the US, playing the R&B circuit, and not really making much of a living. So he brought him back here, recruited Noel Redding and Mitch Mitchell, and off they went as the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And obviously Noel and Mitch have been playing around. Mitch Mitchell, I think, had played with Georgie Fame and the Blue Flames, and so signed up. They got rejected by Decca Records. Decca Records, something of a history of rejecting people.
Jimmy's in good company, isn't he?
Yeah, what with the Beatles? Yes. We shouldn't be mean to Decca Records. On the other hand, oh, that's 2-0 for 2. Yes, well done, guys. Somebody in the A&R department needs an upgrading, ear upgrade, don't they? For that, I mean, I think for me, that some of the interesting bit about recording it, looking back and sort of seeing, it was obviously recorded over quite a long period of time, in contrast to lots of albums that we've talked about on here, which you go into the studio and they knock them off in 2 or 3 days or a week or something like that. This was done over a period of time, whilst doing gigs in between, and obviously getting a name for themselves very quickly. With the British rock cognoscenti, who he obviously frightened them all away. And I think there's lots of things. There's lots of things about that we've discussed on it. One of the things was that he obviously played very loud. Yeah, got his Marshall stacks and put them in the big room in the studio, and turned them up, and said to the engineer, "Put the microphone about 12 feet away, and we'll be good." Now, so obviously, who does that remind you of? Yes, the Mr. Clapton recording the Blues Breaker album. Similar sort of thing. I don't know whether. I mean, I presume that that word of that had gone around about how you could record somebody loud and big and kind of live in the studio. So they would do the basic tracks as a trio, with a bit of maybe a guide vocal, and then they'd Chas Chandler and Co would bounce the tracks down. So they would do 3 tracks, and then they would bounce them down to 2 tracks. I presume people know what I'm talking about, bouncing down. Well, you bounce down to 1 track, so you'd have the drums on 2 tracks, then you'd have the bass on a track and the rhythm guitar on a track, and then you'd bounce the drums down onto 1 track, so you'd have 2 more tracks to do some stuff with. And then Jimi Hendrix would then do overdubs, solos and vocals and stuff, and other guitars. And listening to it, you can clearly hear more than 1 guitar on lots of it. Never mind the crazy sounds as well. But I think that. And they also discovered that they could actually just go into the studio with the bare bones of the song and get it together and record it really quickly. There wasn't too much rehearsal going on as a thing. So it's funny that, as I was saying, that mono was king in 1967 completely. Everything came out in mono, so they only did stereo stuff as a kind of afterthought, really. They spent half an hour just knocking off the stereo track kind of thing. But so, as I say, it's got the classics on it. It's got obviously Hey Joe, Purple Haze, Foxy Lady, Wind Cries Mary. I mean, how much more classic can you be than those songs in anybody's canon, and especially Jimi Hendrix's canon? And I think for me, it's an absolute classic. And as far as I'm concerned, if we're going to play play or pass. So I think that it's quite exciting. So okay, right, Purple Haze, play or pass.
Oh, so you've got the American release. So are we doing the American?
Yeah, we do mine. Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh,
we'll cheat. Yes, you see.
Okay.
I see. Okay. Well, we can compare. We'll have a compare. The one you've got, the one I've got. So does yours start with Purple Haze?
No, I've got the UK version.
Okay.
Which is Foxy Lady. So.
Well. Okay.
Yeah.
Play or pass. I dare you. Yes.
No. We'll go with your record. So you got Purple Haze. What a song! What a song! So either song, Foxy Lady, Purple Haze, for a track opener for a debut album for either the UK or the American music listening public. Wow.
Yeah, wow, yes, absolutely. For anybody who's listening to it, I mean, I think that it's, you know, that sonically it is unlike anything else, really, that I can think of. You know, it has a riff unlike anything else. It's not a straightforward blues thing. It's not, you know, it's quite complex, and it comes, you know, comes thundering in, you know, down, 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 down. You know, it's kind of, you almost can't see the antecedents of it, can you? You can almost can't see the line between it and something that came before it. You know, I don't, you know, can't think of other records where that chord would be used to start with, you know, kind of thing. I think it's just, yeah. I mean, you know, I think that the lyrics and stuff, you know, but the sonically, I mean, I was listening to it. I mean, sonically, just absolutely sparkles. You know, I put it on my stereo yesterday, and it absolutely roars out of the speakers, and kind of, you know, huge sound. You know, I was like, you know, it's like you know, if you're going to do something like this, you put something on up, have a bit more of a critical ear. Yeah, you know, about, you know, listening to it, and you sit there and you go, listen to that, you know, jeez, you know, you can, I mean, you can tell things like that, that in those days, of course, if you're doing it to tape, you can't have everything louder than everything else. And one of the things about digital recording is that you can have everything really loud, yeah. Whereas on tape, if you've got to have the guitars loud, the drums have to be lower, kind of thing. So
yeah, well, that's definitely a play for me. In fact, you know, you could say quite confidently to anybody who hadn't ever heard of Jimi Hendrix, that song could easily be a song that would define his whole career.
Oh, completely. Yeah, yeah. And I think that's probably, in a way, more so than than uh, than than possibly Hey Joe, really. Although you can see it in Hey Joe as well, for sure. You know, it's that you know, that an absolute, for me, an absolute, you know, killer. You know, I remember seeing it on Top of the Pops. You know, the UK's number one pop show, kids. I remember seeing him doing it on Top of the Pops, and it was, you know, it was like something from outer space. I know people say there's a lot about stuff, you know, but to me it was, you know, we're used to the Beatles and Brian Poole and the Tremeloes and the Rolling Stones. You know, this is not even Cream, really. This is not really the same thing as that or any of them, is it? You know, it's for me, it's a leap forward. You know, and I'm of the age where, because I'm, you know, older, that probably Jimi Hendrix had more of an effect on me for guitar playing than Eddie Van Halen, I would say, because of my age and because we're in the UK. That you know, that he is my number one guitar player. If you want to, you know, from my perspective, without him, know anybody else later on, you know. Savoy Brown, oh, great Vancini, good call. Savoy Brown, yeah, that's a yeah. I haven't got Savoy Brown in one of my things, great Vancini, but yeah, we ought to do some stuff about those slightly more minor British blues rock bands, didn't we? You know, we kind of, those things, they're really cool to it's amazing. But yeah, for me, the Hendrix, you know, as I say, was that classic phrase of like something from outer space kind of thing. And interestingly, both Purple Haze and Hey Joe weren't hits in America. They were top 10 hits in the UK, not in America. You know, they obviously had a kind of ripple effect, but they didn't really ripple out in America in the same way. So anyway, I'm going at Purple Haze. I dare you to pass. Yes. I think. Susie's trying out her powers in the chat. I see. Susie, you have powers. Careful how you use them. What's your observation about Purple Haze? Is it?
Oh, it's just a fantastic song.
Do you remember when you first heard it? I mean, obviously not when it came out, but do you remember when Hendrix appeared in your? It's just always there kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't have I don't have a defining period where Hendrix, where I remember going bang with Hendrix at an early age, up until about 15 years ago, where I seriously studied Hendrix. So, Hendrix was always there. You'd go and have a few beers with a couple of mates. There was always, this was the music that we were listening to. I never had a copy of the album, but knew it. It was just a fantastic party album.
Yeah.
And the great thing about a lot of those songs too is that you can play along to them, which is might seem difficult, but isn't if you know the chords. It's a blues based foundation. But I got into Hendrix about maybe 15, 20 years ago, and I remember listening to this album seriously and going, wow. And look, I'll stick my hand up and be honest with you. I wasn't listening to the guitar, Simon, early on, when I was listening to other guitarists, if that makes any sense. I wasn't listening to Jimmy's guitar playing. In fact, I was listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar playing intensely before Hendrix, because and don't attack me in the chat, guys, but it's about being honest.
Brad said he's making mental notes, and guys, any passes, well, he'll be taking up with us offline.
We're being honest here with our feedback. I didn't appreciate the vocals. I didn't appreciate Jimmy's vocals when I was younger. Certainly the guitar playing, had some influence on me. But Simon, it's certainly a play.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just a couple of things about it. Obviously, that it's obviously the lyrics to Purple Haze, obviously attributed to acid, but I don't think he seemingly he hadn't taken acid when he wrote it, and it was just about a dream he'd had about walking under the sea and stuff. And the other great thing I read was that the opening bit, that down is known as the Diablos in Musica. During that, basically that interval of a tritone was prohibited by the Catholic Church. For medieval composers were prohibited by the Catholic Church from using it as a flattened fifth. So, which is quite exciting that you start off your album with the Diablos in Musica. It's just it's quite good. That's quite cool, I think, as a thing. So we're definitely on a ting for a play for Purple Haze. So we're still all right with Brad then. You're right, GT, did he? He used to do them on his own in the studio kind of thing later. Not too many people hanging out. So next on my record, we've got Manic Depression, which is again for me. So for me, is a hit. Ting. I don't know if it was a single, but yeah, again, that kind of very kind of that guitar thing again. As I say, what struck me when I was listening to it was the kind of sparkle, the energy that came out, and the of that, and also what I liked. The other thing I liked was it's it's kind of complicated. It's not just an A major and an E major and a D major. There's a lot of other stuff going on there in terms of kind of quite sort of jazzy stuff and jazzy runs and things, and together with the feedback and the thing. So I think it's those things are sort of underrated in those. Hendrix, the kind of complexity of what he was doing, which I think is really cool. I know that it's I think that's probably true. Is that that they were getting more into complexity, and that's the way music was going in those days. And you could even say it's a bit of a pre-runner of something like prog. Prog rock, where very complex chords and very complex things were part of the canon in the. What's it? So it's as I say, I think that Manic Depression is great second song. Really does it for me. It's quite psychedelic. You can see it's kind of its time in a sense, and that sort of psychedelia. You'd write a song called Manic Depression in 1967 and call it Manic Depression, wouldn't you? In a way that maybe you wouldn't in 1977. You'd call it something else, if you've got a bit more, maybe a bit more artsy by 77.
Yeah, well, the highlight for me is the drumming. Great song.
Mitch Mitchell's drumming, yeah. I think it's absolutely that it is interesting that the musicianship is really great across all of it, isn't it? That kind of Mitch Mitchell drumming across the whole thing, very kind of. It reminds you a bit playing the same way as kind of a bit like Keith Moon, where you're not just playing the beats. There's a lot of kind of fills and textures and complexity going on in those drum beats.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of rivalry going on between Mitch Mitchell and
fighting for the limelight, and Lowell Redding,
Bill Wyman, Charlie Watts, and Ginger Baker. All three came from jazz backgrounds, so it's probably something that needs to be drawn out in the future. There may be some books and research, because I'm not a drummer. Maybe you cats in the chat might know something about that, but that's something that I haven't come across a lot in any of the biographies or the music I've read, but there has been some mention about it, that friendly rivalry between the drummers.
Oh, I'm sure that but apparently had a real cavalier attitude to timekeeping. Did Mr. Mitchell nearly got himself fired because he used to be late all the time for recording sessions, and they nearly got a bloke called John Banks from the Mersey Beats to come and drum for them. But Chas Chandler docked his wages for a week, and then, surprisingly, he wasn't late again. bit of fiscal punishment to keep him in line. But, apparently, his drumming was pretty revelatory. So it's a good point to bring it up as a thing. But three musicians who certainly could lay it down. And and those two were a really good foil for him, weren't they, for Hendrix as a band? Hats off to Chas Chandler for putting them together. Obviously seeing, having, he must have had some kind of vision about what to put with Jimmy and how it was going to work, and produce it and stuff. Anyway, so I presume we're playing Manic Depression, Ron.
Sorry, Chris, but we're just we've just chucked out a couple of wrenches with some of our regular viewers in the chat, just to make sure that moving forward we're going to be protected in the chat. So there's nothing personal on behalf of the channel or Susie with what we're.
Susie's been experimenting with him by banning him for 300 seconds and then getting him back and things.
Oh, no, he gets it. There's a laugh out loud. He gets it. That's cool. That's cool. Thanks.
Yeah, we're good. That's right. Because you were fine.
All right. Back on track. Sorry, mate. Back on track.
No, it's fine. Susie makes a really good point about, I understand, Noel Redding was always falling out with Jimmy. I mean, that was mainly about the fact that Noel thought he had as good a songs as Jimmy, didn't he? And he kept pressing to have his songs being played and stuff.
Yeah, that's a sad story. Noel obviously thought that he was, he didn't want to be a bass player.
No, he didn't. He wanted to be a guitar player, didn't he? Clearly, yeah, and then had to sit behind Jimi Hendrix playing bass, and then it never really sat with him, did it, Noel? Yes, sadly.
That's cool.
Oh, does he? Oh, good. That's all right. That's fine. Cool. Good. That's right. As long as we're all good. It's, you can understand we're a touch
We don't want any misunderstandings on this channel moving forward. No misunderstandings. This is a cool place for cool people to hang out.
Did he own his motel room in Portland? Did he? Yeah, Great Manzini. Not in a John Entwistle way, I hope. Did he? Blimey, yeah. But anyway, yes, you're right, Andrew. He's a bit of a sad story, Noel, isn't he? For that kind of the nearly man who wanted to be the leader and wanted to be the guitar player, but actually, his fame is that he backed up one of the greatest guitar players who ever lived. The man who took it to another place, and that's really his eternal thing, isn't it? Face facts, Noel. And whatever he did after that, like a lot of people, it never really measured up, did it? I mean, I don't know if you've heard any Fat Mattress. And let's face it, a band called Fat Mattress, it's not likely to go very far, is it? It's not a great name, is it? Fat Mattress.
Yeah, there's a couple of cool
DVDs
that came out a couple of years ago on Jimi Hendrix, and there's...
What was some interviews with Noel?
Yeah, I can't remember which one it is. I've got them here somewhere, but... the cool thing about Noel, though, is he admits that he made a mistake. He doesn't talk about Jimmy in any negative way, which is pretty cool. Upon reflection, as you get older, which is always a good thing, you can look back and he's pretty proud of the role that he played with Jimi Hendrix, and sticks his hand up, Simon, and admits that he probably made a mistake.
I'm pleased about that. I'm pleased that no, except you were a part of a fantastic thing. Those first 3 records that you played on, 3. We are just in the firmament of rock, are right up there.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. And you're a part of it, and you made them. And yes, Great Vanzini says at one point Noel declared himself the greatest bass player. Nikki Ice asked, what did Noel do after Jimmy? The answer is not very much. He had a band called Fat Mattress, which, as I've said, I don't feel is the greatest name for it. And he kind of bumbled about for a while, didn't he? But he never really had the same success as he had in the Hendrix thing. It never really took off. And he played guitar in Fat Mattress, not bass, and he didn't really, as I say, I don't think he did much after. He didn't get to the same heights, does he, as after Hendrix, sadly. But that was his thing, wasn't it? Really, he wanted to. Let's see, I'll just quickly look at it. Yeah, there we are. Yeah, so really only did Fat Mattress, I think, after, He formed the Noel Redding band with Eric Bell. And Eric Bell is Mr. Walton. Pop quiz. He's the early guitarist in Thin Lizzy. Eric Bell plays on Whiskey in the Jar. That's Eric Bell, I think. Not any of the famous ones. But anyway, so yes, so we're doing a play. Hey Joe. Moving on to Hey Joe, obviously an old song that they picked up and recorded. Apparently, it was quite challenging for the musicians, I've read, to get their heads around.
Well, clearly one that had been playing on the Chitlin circuit, surely.
For a while,
Surely it was, something that he had some experience in playing.
There we go.
But yeah, another classic. Certainly, not a skip. And it's one of those songs that I hear on the radio, unlike some of the other classic rock songs that we've spoken about through previous shows, one that I don't mind hearing on the radio, on the classic hit station. Love it.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Okay, so DT's saying it's overplayed. Interesting. Yeah, I'm not going to disagree. Yeah, but
I think DT, you can say that about that.
Yep.
Would you? There's for me, that's the Stairway to Heaven question, isn't it? If Stairway to Heaven comes on, is it like I know it so well inside out and backwards that actually
I skip it.
I kind of skip it. I don't skip it actually because that's part of my teenage rock discovery land. So I don't skip it, but I know what you mean. The live version, I like the live version as well. I mean, I think the solo on it is an absolute classic. But has any seen Fat Mattress? Oh, no. I don't think it's very good. Great Vanzini. I think I've played it when I worked in the record shop.
Yeah. So like not a hard song to play on guitar. I suppose it's like a lot of songs. You can play a Van Halen song simply as you can, and maybe intricately as the song needs to be. But look, I agree with you, Simon. It's it's a classic song. It's one that I wouldn't skip. But I dig the argument that DT's saying that overplayed, because it's certainly one of the songs that the radio stations will play with on their song rotation. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. I just because everybody knows it. Great party song.
An everyday tale of love and revenge, and
nothing better.
Nothing better. Yeah.
Nothing better, man. Hey,
murder ballad. Yes,
that's my woman, man.
And in that sense, quite a blues sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Don't mess with the blues man when he's angry. But the blues man can have outside woman, though. Aye.
That's true. Great guitar hacks having a moment. He can't remember who wrote "Stairway to Heaven."
Ace Frehley. Yes.
The all questions that Hack asks, the answer is Ace Frehley. Actually, that's funny. That is guitar hack. Yes. Yeah, the answer is Ace Frehley. Whatever you're asking. So I think that it's definitely a play for me. Hey Joe, I don't. Yep. It's funny, that thing about. Just trying to think about songs that where because I've heard them so much. Although interestingly, you don't hear. Yeah. Oh yeah, Susie, you're right. I mean, yeah, I mean, feel is Hendrix is all about the feel and control of the guitar. Thumb over the top, and he's got big hand. Can I mean, but anybody can play it upside down and backwards and still play. I mean, I don't know if have you ever tried it. Have you ever tried to turn your guitar around? It's like just becomes a foreign thing to me. I can't do anything with it at all.
I can barely play a guitar normally, so why would I want to do that?
No, Hackett was not Gene Simmons. Everyone knows it was Ace Frehley. But, no, I think that that you bring up a great point, Susie. That that the tone, the control, all that, learning how to control the feedback and the sound of a guitar like that. When as we know, not much. There's not many effects going on. He's got a fuzz and he's got a wah wah, and that's about it, really, isn't it? Phaser, possibly a phaser.
No,
but there's not. But it isn't much, and distortion. If you're going to get distortion and drive, you've got to turn your amps up loud, don't you? And then if you're going to turn your amps up loud, you're going to get wild and crazy feedback and all of that. And learning to control that is and make it do what you want. I think that's is a great bit of sorcery. So yeah, absolutely. And all those licks and all those fills that go between the chords, and the ability to play those more difficult chords and make it all flow together. No, completely. So sounds so. So next one, Love or Confusion.
Okay, well, this is a song that changed my mind about Jimmy's singing. You might remember.
Right. Yeah.
Early on, I said to you that initially I wasn't attracted to his singing.
No.
But that's a song which attracts me to his singing and gave me an ability to understand in a fuller way Jimmy's singing ability, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Go on. What was it about it particularly that suddenly kind of made it click? Anything in particular?
I just love the vocals. Just love the vocals on that track. I just it's like a Robert Johnson moment, I suppose, that Clapton had and Keith Richards had. It's this power, sincerity that you get through a song, through a vocals. And most guitar players don't normally make that connection, I don't think, or guitar fans. It's like, where were you when you heard Eruption? Or when was the first time you heard Ace Frehley? It's about the guitar notes or whatever. But I think sometimes for guitar players, we need to sort of think about what was a song or a couple of songs that knocked you for six. And, that's one of them, Simon.
Yeah. That's really interesting that it took that to sort of get to change your mind about his singing. So I wouldn't have heard it particularly first time round. So I don't, so I very much, as I say, saw him doing Purple Haze on the radio. Saw him on the radio on Top of the Pops, duh, but heard him on the radio. So, I always thought his singing was fine. It's do you know what I mean? It's one of those things that, I don't know, when you're a kid, and I would have been 67. I would have been 9. So I would have heard him, seen it 9 or 10 years old. And at that age, I think you just that you just accept things, don't you? That's Jimi Hendrix. He's doing Purple Haze. That's what he sounds like. Yeah, and you don't have a critical faculty at 9 or 10 to say. You just go, that's really cool. I get it's a really cool sound, but it's kind of embryonic at that age. You're not, don't have any critical faculties. No, I think I just accepted that was the way he sang. That's what he did. Seemed to be relatively in tune. He seemed to have, for me the best thing to be said about it is he had a unique voice. You could tell Jimi Hendrix, ain't nobody else. You know, he's not trying to be anyone else. He's not copying Sam Cooke, or he's not copying whoever. You know, he is singing the way he sings. And I think that, you know, that for me, as I say, because I sort of was there at that age, yeah, DT, you're right. It's always the song first, because, you know, crappy song with the you know, a cool bit is still not a very good song. Hey, Kubrick lover, how you doing? Hope you're good. So yeah, I've always got on with his thing. I've always thought he was fine. I think it was obviously only later that I read that he didn't like his voice and stuff like that. So, and by then, for me, it was too late, because I already liked his stuff anyway. So, sorry, early morning, chesty. But so yeah, so I mean, you know, I have to say this is, you know, I mean, I'm absolutely all about Love and Confusion. It's a great track. I really like it. I like the guitar sounds again on it. It's you know, and I was amazed that, you know, that he'll be playing like solo lines, and underneath will be other sort of similar solo lines, but not quite the same kind of thing. And you know, that's really good. Overdubbing guitar, so you've got two together, but not just overdubbing a rhythm guitar. There's two, you know, kind of two leady guitars kind of doing things, which I presume are overdubs. So I think he's playing them at the same time, although I wouldn't put it past him. But, you know, superhuman. So anyway, so I'm going definitely play for that. Next one is May This Be Love. So sorry, something's just struck me, because I had I got the timings, you know, next to them. I was thinking, how long is it? 2 is 5, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So there's about 18 minutes aside. You know, I was making that point last week, wasn't I? With the Cream album, you know, that actually, you know, 16, 17, 18 minutes aside doesn't make it, you know, for me, that's a good length for an album. And it doesn't need to be 70 minutes of cramming it all in, kind of thing. And so I'm pleased with it. So, yeah, May This Be Love. Yeah, I think, again, for me, a play. Again, love the song. Think, you know, great guitar playing. You know, I think that you know, what's interesting to me are those sonic tones that he brings into the songs. You know, and that, you know, when you get to Third Stone from the Sun and all that feedback and all that kind of, you know, kind of quite ambient sort of stuff that's going on in that. You know, so that for 1967 is just amazing to me, that you could conjure up that, you know, that you had the idea and you were able to do it. You know, you were able to execute it as well, given the limited amount of technology. You know, no phasers, no kind of, you know, cathedral reverbs or whatever, choruses and all of that stuff. That's all still in the future, you know, and yet to make as broad a sonic palette as this album has, I think is, you know, astonishing, really. Don't you?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So it, you know, kind of fits into, you know, dovetails into my thoughts with the previous song. You know, a deep cut, certainly a deep cut. And
Yeah.
if you had somebody that was critical of Jimi Hendrix's vocals, you know, play that song, because it's a song that reveals, you know, a little bit more about Jimi Hendrix away from the feedback, away from the Marshall stack, away from the effects, and, you know, very clever song, very clever song. Top marks to the production team for making him confident enough, or the management team, to write and even record that song.
Yeah, completely. Yeah. And I think you're right. You know, it's got the sonic feedback, guitar improvisation stuff, and I think it's, you know, that you're right to have that kind of that vision that Charles Chandler had, not just to produce another kind of, pop album, not every. Crucible Fire. No, that's fine. Crucible Fire. That's fine. This is what this is about. Maybe you'll go back and listen to the whole album and get into these deeper cuts, because they're really cool songs. And they have lots of interesting stuff going on. In them that, as I say, if you've only heard the singles and stuff, and that you might have missed. So it's definitely worth. I think definitely worth investigating as an album, because it's not. The good news, it's not very long. As I say, the first side is about 17 minutes, which as I've said before, I'll say again, I don't think that's a disadvantage by a distance. 5 songs, keep it tight. 6 songs, keep it tight. 3 minutes a song. Bosh, 2.5, and even Hendrix with all the improvisation stuff. I Don't Live Today is the longest song at 3:55, so it's not 4 minutes. That's a deep cut, and I think it's that's not a bad thing, is it? Keeping it tight, keeping it focused. Not overrunning the idea, and I think live is different, but in the studio they obviously kept it tight. And as you say, hats off to Chaz and Eddie Kramer for kind of getting it, understanding it, and going with it, and being able to produce it, and having the confidence to produce absolutely those innovative things, all that sonic stuff that he did, being able to go with it, really, because I'm sure there's a temptation to keep things commercial or keep things down, or and obviously him having to turn up with his Marshalls, turn them up and record them 12 feet away is, and going with it to that extent is, it's part of the times, of course, as we've discussed on here before. The late 67, 66, is the great experimentation where rock kind of flowers out, doesn't it? People's songs get longer, they get more interested in sonic things, feedback and all those things. And Hendrix is not the only person doing that. Improvisation becomes very big, isn't it? Clapton is in the forefront of improvising with Cream and stuff, and longer songs and things. Taking it more seriously, for better or worse. I'm as I say, I think I agree with Brad. I think it's the album is a sonic masterpiece. When I was listening to it yesterday, and I'm amazed about how fresh it still sounds and how much is going on in those tracks. And even they're only done on a 4-track, and I'll say it again. I'll say it again. That the fact that you only have a 4-track to record it on means that your creativity comes more to the fore, because you're bound by that by those constraints, And I think there's a tremendous amount of creativity in those, that comes out of having constraints. Whereas, I don't know what Hendrix would have made of having unlimited tracks to track guitars and stuff. I'm sure you would have done some amazing stuff, but I don't think it would have necessarily been better than this. Even though this is only done on a 4-track. So I'm all for constraints of whether they're artificial or obviously it's just technological constraints. But anyway, so I'm going play. So where have we got to? Have we got to side 2? I don't live today. Yeah, The Wind Cries Mary. So I think so. I'm going. Obviously, The Wind Cries Mary is for me, the great Jimi Hendrix ballad. I would say bluesy, fantastic, great chords, great singing. It's about his girlfriend Kathy Etchingham. It's just a beautiful song, beautifully played. The feel of it, of those chords, and the sound of the guitar on it is. It's I think absolutely amazing, really, and it's still again, I would never pass that on the radio. When I hear it on the radio, it's kind of, for me, it's a breath of fresh air in so many ways. If you know what I mean. Do you know what I mean? I think that actually, for me, that's the point, is if you hear a song you've heard a million times before in a in a sea of stuff that doesn't really interest you and stuff, I always think that that's a kind of fixed point for me, and takes me somewhere that's the stuff I'm not really interested in. And actually, so even if I hear Stairway to Heaven, I don't pass on it, because somehow there's a part of me that's still 14 and still listening to it for the first time, and I'm still kind of in touch with that. If that's not too hippie, I think, to do. And I feel that, that's what I feel about it. When I hear those songs, great familiarity though they bring, there's also that kind of something familiar to kind of relax into. Go, yes, I know this. I understand it. It moves me. I feel it in a really good way, and so I'm all for a few. Yes, let's not forget. Okay, so I don't know, what are your thoughts about When Cries Mary?
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's one of the first songs that I learnt to play. Blues song. Anyone can play it. You can play it on an acoustic guitar. When you're with some friends camping, it's I think it's fantastic. Love it. I can't add any more to that song other than what you've said, Simon. I think it's fascinating that it's a song written for someone close to him at the time, which is always revealing, isn't it? That these musicians have been inspired by not big zeitgeists or political agendas as well. They've been inspired by girlfriends and friends around them, which is that human aspect of the music that we love. So
for sure, it's an internal thing, to the person, or an external thing, as you say, about the world. Yes, completely. And so that'll be a pass then, will it? No, but it's you couldn't pass that, could you? It's otherwise Brad will be on our case massively. It's one of my favourite songs of all time.
If you're a solo guy and you play that song, to a bird,
should close the door softly behind her. Yes, as he leaves. I'm joking, but so I think
great song.
I think it's right up there.
Yep.
What you can create. As I say, and that it's for me. There's that touch, the da 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 da. Just those little run up with those three chords. Playing in two different places on the neck. Play here and then play at the A, and then play that. Just the feel of those things is being attacked by a gnat. is a great thrill to me whenever I hear them. To think. Okay, so the next track I've got on my is Fire, which again, let me stand next to your fire. Again, a sort of more up tempo kind of rocker track. Great for me. Again, great guitar playing. Getting into
another love song.
Another love song. Yeah, let me stand next to your fire. I think we know what he's talking about. It's no great. Yeah, it's a bit more. Yes, as I say, it's like an upbeat, up tempo number. So it's kind of contrast. Interesting to start side two with a ballad. I think that's up and up. Not complaining, but you don't normally start side two with a ballad, do you? Kind of thing. It has to be. Normally you're starting it with a strong rock song, aren't you? Kind of thing.
Again, just a clever song placement by his production team. Another mold breaker, another Line in the Sand, guys. This is Jimi Hendrix. This is a debut album. This is something that you guys will never forget.
No, that's right. Yeah. It's again for me, it's I have to say, it's terrible to say, but I kind of feel like there's not a Duff song on this record. There isn't a song that I think, I'll just go on to the next one. As I say, I think that's one of the things that re-listening to it yesterday, after I haven't listened to it for a while, and listened to it with a bit more of a critical ear, that you kind of get you kind of get, you think to yourself, wow, even the deeper cuts, May This Be Love, I Don't Live Today, still not skipping them, because they still have the things about them that make them unique songs and really good songs, and not just filler. I think that's one. It's for me is one. Do you have albums? Do you have albums when there's most albums that I remember when I was a kid? You buy an album, there would always be one track. There would be one track that you go, I don't know, maybe I'll skip it. But I don't think that's the case on this. On this album. Are you all right for time, Andrew?
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah.
Good, that's right.
Yep.
That's fine. So I think that so Fire, definitely a play from me. Definitely great song, great second song on the second side and stuff. I don't know, what are your thoughts?
Love it. Love it. Any 14-year-old boy knows what the song's about, and he's definitely appealing to, that carnal side of relationships, which is no surprise when you consider what was happening during the 1960s, but done tastefully, done poetically.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Yeah. So definitely a play. Third Stone from the Sun, obviously. Bit more kind of jazzy, psychedelic sort of thing, with some broken, some spoken passages. Interesting, spoken. Yeah, not very much the norm, but and I think it's
Is that him trying to be a bit Dylan-y?
I think possibly, yeah. I just read you that these are lyrics of your time. Okay, this is the first verse. Strange, beautiful grass of green, with your majestic silver seas, your mysterious mountains I wish to see closer. May I land my kinky machine.
Yeah. Just and out of it, eh?
And for me, this is the thing about, on their own, of course, it don't work, and I'm, taking the piss a bit, but actually within the context of the song, the way he sings and what he does, means that I still think it's fine. It's of its time, complete. That's something you could write in 1967. So I don't think anyone would write in 2017.
But that's why I love it, Simon, because because it is a record in time in 1967 where I'm going to land my kinky machine. It's just like you would expect someone in London to be saying and talking like that,
Yeah. So I mean, it's obviously it's based in science fiction books that he read and stuff, and a hazy cosmic jive straight out of the Sun Ra science fiction textbook. They are. So says no less person than the music journalist Charles Shaar Murray. I don't know if that means anything for you guys across the thing, but he used to write in the New Musical Express and is an authority on Jimi Hendrix. He's written a really good book called Crosstown Traffic, I think. So worth checking out if you're everything. So it's it's but yeah, to me, And it's got all that guitar and all that stuff in it. And again, it kind of, I love the guitar on it. I think it's quite jazzy and stuff. It's got that jazz influence in it. Apparently there's some Wes Montgomery style stuff in there. I don't know about that. So for me, another tremendous track, and one that you wouldn't be skipping. Brad, you'll be pleased to know. Yeah, absolutely. Brad is saying that SRV was massively inspired by The Wind Cries Mary. Even nodded his head to Jimmy in Lenny. Yeah. Right, absolutely. Good, excellent point. Yeah. I haven't seen a bed in so long, it's a sin. So, moving along. So we got the next one is Foxy Lady. Foxy Lady.
Another love song.
written about a woman who would go on to marry Roger Daltrey. There we are. Apparently, yeah. Foxy Lady always struck me as being a bit of a sort of, I don't know, the opening bit is a bit of a rewrite of Purple Haze.
Yeah.
Do you see that as a thing? As a kind of,
yep.
Maybe not. Yeah, down. Yeah, you could go one way or the other, couldn't you? Go into Purple Haze, or you could go into Foxy Lady. I always loved that, with that stop when he goes, Foxy Lady, down. And then he goes back into it. It's like, tremendous. Yes, kind of, I always love a good stop in a record, when it all stops and, yeah. So,
well,
I'm
another good example, Simon, of him and his vocals being near perfect.
Yeah. Well, indeed. And, and not kind of, absolutely perfect for the song, and kind of have us kind of sensual quality and a kind of softness that actually makes those songs, and goes with those songs. It's not like heavy rasping. The lyrics are not heavy rasping lyrics. They are kind of quite lyrical and spacey and kind of all sorts, and the voice suits the lyrics, doesn't it? I think for me, it's that as you just talked about it, actually having a voice that suits your lyrics is an interesting point, isn't it?
Yeah. How can we forget that lyric?
Move over. Jimmy, take over.
Jimmy, take over.
See what I mean? That's a kind of swagger.
Again, a 1967 thing.
Yeah. Well, in a sense, move over, Rover, let the Jimmy take over. It's a bit like meet the new boss, same as the old boss, isn't it? Kind of thing.
Yeah, and it also was a song that inspired Keith Richards and a song that inspired Eric Clapton, because they both sang those songs too, band members and friends. Hey,
yeah.
Move over, Brian, let Keith take over.
Take over. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, I love all those sorts of things, people changing things around, quoting other things and stuff. Yeah, that's really good. So I'm, Foxy Lady, a classic. Probably, I think it was a single, but I remember it being a single.
Another radio song, Simon. Another radio song. We spoke about that with. What was the song? Foxy Lady. So another radio song that tends to get rotated, but one that I don't skip.
Oh no! Sorry, I'm having a Mike Pence moment. I'm being attacked by a fly. I never thought I'd say that on a show. Having a Mike Pence moment. And anyway, so yes, moving on to the last track. Are You Experienced? Of course, the last track, but still a great track. Great guitar. As I say, I think the singing on it is really cool. On it, so I'm great with that as a thing. If you run out of superlatives, really, don't you, by the end of it? Just hopefully.
Well, again, I think it's an anthem, isn't it? It's a song that Jimmy is singing to a generation of people. Again, it's it's up there with Street Fighting Man. It's up there with Who's My Generation, Simon. It's a song. It's a song that's when I think of that song now, with what I know, it's it's about breaking those molds from the previous generation. It was the way that they saw themselves. We've spoken about this at length on many shows. About the art movement. How films were having an influence, the rise of popular culture, and all the stuff that we're talking about. Was popular. It's what the young kids were listening to, and the artistic people. And I think that's Jimmy saying to them, well, look, you've got all this, you're part of this movement, you're part of this scene, you're experienced, but he's asking you, are you going to make a change?
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Yeah. Apparently, it's got backward guitar on it and stuff. That Hendrix.
Did that before Led Zeppelin?
Yeah, well, Led Zeppelin famous for their backward guitars. I don't think of Led Zeppelin and backward guitars particularly, but
backward lyrics.
Backward lyric. Yeah, this is backward guitar. Apparently, they wanted to do a loop. He wanted to loop, and they couldn't really do it. So, we're just going to play it. So, it's got some sort of Indian classical music stuff in there as well. Apparently, some droning quality, which is really cool. Again, experimenting what you can do with what you've got. Trying to make a guitar loop. I've done that. Take a tape, stretch it out round a couple of loops that you've nailed into the desk, kind of thing. So you've got a lot, so you get and put it through the tape recorder, so that you get that sort of thing going on. And obviously move one of the loops around to adjust the length so it's the right length and all that.
Apparently, he got that, from hanging out with what's his name, Paul McCartney, from the Beatles. Paul McCartney and him were hanging out there a little bit and talking about techniques and what they were doing in the studio. And Jimmy, being the genius that he was, took advantage of every opportunity he had, Simon, when he was meeting other established artists, heavily influenced by that song Rain, that droning G of rain. In the rain. So takes that droning Indian vibe, that the Beatles are doing, and tries to manipulate that into something, but makes it Jimmy. Fascinating.
Yeah. Great Vanzini makes a great point. Man, it now feels like every song is a hit, but none of them got much radio play on. I think that's true, especially in America. A bit more so in the UK. Great Vanzini, they were definitely hits here, but I think that not so much in America.
Album? Wasn't it about the album though?
It was about the album for sure, but remember, 67, so you're still talking about singles and all of that. Cool. It's but I think you're right that it sold it sold more than 1 million copies in the UK in the first year, whereas it never really did that in America. I think it took him appearing at Monterey to kickstart his career, obviously promoted by Paul McCartney. Paul McCartney said, "You've got to have him on the bill at Monterey," and went on the board of Monterey, kind of thing, the organising board of Monterey, apparently. But that's why Hendrix appeared at Monterey, thanks to Paul McCartney. A great re-entry back into into America, really, in a way that he never had before. So, I agree. For my conclusion, one of the great rock albums. This one. Do you want to talk about Red House? Yes.
Yeah, because I've got the
Red
UK
House.
version. So Red House is the third song on side one, and that's a masterpiece. It's all versions of Jimmy's. I can never get enough of the live version that he does on the blues album. This studio version, it's a masterpiece. It's just, it's the highlight of the album for me, Simon.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
I
I don't
just,
know.
I just, yeah, it's, it just, I can't describe it other than it's a masterpiece. And it was nice that Brad mentioned earlier in the chat, that he was influenced by, what song? What did you say, Brad? I had your comment up, that he was influenced by Wind Cries Mary and comes through in Lenny.
That's right, Lenny. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that Red House, I love it. Again,
Yeah.
just a great blues song, and
I was
I
going to say
just want
that's
to I
that's
just want
the
to
interesting
reiterate
part,
this
isn't
point.
it? Yeah. Go
Anyone
on.
can play that song. Anyone can
Hmm.
play it.
Yeah. But you can't play it like Hendrix. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, no, but you can pick up your guitar and you can play along with that song. And so long as maybe the first, second position, pentatonic scale, man, you're fine. In E, wow.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing to me is that it's a it's a conventional 12-bar blues, isn't it?
Yeah.
Unlike any of the other songs we've talked about, which are anything but conventional 12-bar blues songs.
But it doesn't
Really?
sound like it.
No, with the Hendrix magic, yes.
Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't. It's. We've said this before. It's that ability to put space between notes. And again, you mentioned it earlier, Simon. Chaz Chandler and Kramer. They're the and we talk about George Martin. Being a master. Producer. Gosh, let's give these guys some credit where credit's due. What Eddie was doing was just mind blowing.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. And obviously, and in a sense, that's where I came in. With this, that's Hendrix playing Red House
Yeah.
on an acoustic guitar version
All versions, Simon.
Yeah. As I say, it's just him sitting on a stool playing it, which is, in a sense, my entry to Hendrix on that was, in a sense, that's probably my most vivid image of this as a film and stuff, is him just sitting there on a stool just playing Red House. There's a red house over yonder, amazing kind of, yeah.
And then you go, let's talk
one
about
man and a guitar.
Stevie Ray Vaughan, being influenced by Jimmy with his electric guitar, that MTV Unplugged segment that they did, which is on YouTube. Stevie Ray Vaughan's playing and Life by the Drop, which is, a version, his song with Doyle Bramhall. But again, you can see the connection going back to Jimi Hendrix playing Red House, Simon. It's just... Yeah, phenomenal.
No, it's fantastic. Yeah, phenomenal. Yeah. So I don't know why it was left off the American version. I've no idea, but I've got it.
Again, one of those weird things that they were doing there for a while. Just I haven't researched that. I don't know why either. But strange.
Yeah, so I'm just reading some bits in the chat about stuff. But no, I agree. I find it a bit weird that I don't know. Probably now, if you released it, you put it back on, wouldn't you? Kind of thing. 3, 5, 6, 11, 3 is 15. So you get 19. And second side of ice is 19 minutes. But yes, I don't. They used to do that, didn't they? Used to in the 60s a lot different. You had all the Beatles albums are different in America. The early Beatles stuff is different in America than it is here, isn't it? And things. So it's find it weird. So as I say, I think for me, one of the first great rock guitar albums. You know, every track, including Red House, not on here, but Red House. You know, a classic. You know, great song. I wouldn't skip any of them. And I think one of those albums where it's worth listening to as a whole, as a complete package. There's not a duff track on it. There's, you know, as you said earlier, some deeper cuts, obviously, than the singles, but they reward listening because they all have something in them, you know, unique and pushing forward the sonic boundaries of what a guitar can do in a way. And I know that kind of chimes with what people have been saying about Eddie Van Halen this week. But I think that, you know, it's, you know, equally applies to Hendrix as it does to EVH, really. You know, that epithet of pushing forward the sonic boundaries of what a guitar can do. And I think, you know, the thing for me, the thing for Hendrix is that, yeah, you're right. That, you know, that kind of, because of the constraints, because he didn't have nearly so much in the way of effects and the way of things, you know, that you had to make as much as you can out of those constraints, can't you? In terms of recording and everything else.
I'm going to stick up here for Jimi Hendrix because I've heard a lot of people make the connection between, or the step or the jump, Jimi Hendrix to Eddie Van Halen. And look, don't get me wrong. You know, don't take what I'm saying wrong. Let me draw it out a little bit for you.
Yeah.
So you know, it was about the music for Jimi Hendrix. He wrote the songs. He was involved right from the word go on how it was recorded in the recording process. He was there to guide the other members of the band as far as the tempos and the timing that he wanted, you know, and they certainly did that because it was Jimmy's band, clearly. Eddie Van Halen, same thing. It's about the music. You know, we watch some shows and a lot of people say, well, you know, Eddie's a little bit more than just a guitar player. It's about the music. But let's also remember this. Jimi Hendrix sang.
Yeah. And that makes it kind of different. And just in case we're getting off on the wrong track, here's my T-shirt.
Oh, sorry. Kubrick's asking, what does my T-shirt say?
I see. I see. What
it's the T-shirt that I wear to church on Sundays.
Is it?
No, I don't.
to upset the vicar. Well done.
No, I don't wear that. I do go to church on Sundays, but I don't wear this T-shirt.
I hope you wear a shirt and tie. Yes. Or do you wear it? Do you wear it underneath something else? Just to be slightly radical. Ooh, look at me, Mr. Rebel. Well done.
But I think you know. Let's put Jimi Hendrix, you know, in perspective. You know, a complete musician.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, isn't it? That wrote the lyrics, sang them, played the guitar. You know, was obviously, you know, did all those things. You know, and I don't know whether, I mean, you can't really say this, but you know, I would say that that without Jimi Hendrix, this is not really true, but without Jimi Hendrix, no Eddie Van Halen, if you see what I mean. Yeah.
I don't know.
Look, if that's really
I'm going to agree with you. Yeah. But, you know, yeah. And who knows what Eric Clapton would have done had he not met Jimi Hendrix, too.
Yeah. What, back to ain't done 461 Ocean Boulevard?
Yes. Look. Yeah. I'm going. No Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Yeah. And I know those are a bit. I know those sort of lines are a bit spurious, but that's what I kind of feel about it, because obviously, you know, Hendrix is much more my thing than EVHs. I mean, I get what an innovator EVH was, what he took, what he brought to the guitar, what he did, and and I think that, as we've discussed on these shows before, that kind of technical ability starts with him, I would say, and all those 80s guitarists who, perfect, took that technique, and that is about tremendous technique, both hands, by the way, right hand, rhythm and lead, all that tapping and all of that stuff, that is, if nothing else, it's a tremendous piece of technique, isn't it? Technical ability to do that in his way. But it's kind of, so I'm not trying to belittle or do down EVH's contribution to the world of electro rock guitar. I mean, absolutely, right up there. As an innovator and as a player, it's as I say, it's not particularly my thing, but that's my problem, not his. I would say, it's. Kubit Lover asks, Andrew, would you say Hendrix influenced Clapton, such as Clapton playing a Strat?
Oh yeah. Oh, look. If you read Clapton's biography, there was a thing going on between the two of them, and we've had a couple of shows where Simon and I have argued the fact that some hacks out there, journalist hacks, have said that Clapton apparently went home and kicked the cat and threw the TV out of the hotel room because Clapton. Because Hendrix had come along and they were all they were all going to be out of work, So that's not true. All the guitar players, all the musicians in London loved Jimi Hendrix, wanted to be around him. I mean,
I think they were stunned by his talent, weren't they? They were stunned by the fact that somebody could just turn up and blow, go, oh, look at that. Because you kind of get comfortable in your own space, don't you? So Eric would have known Jeff Beck, he's known Jimmy Page, and he knows all the other, all the other guys around, doesn't it? And all of a sudden, this kind of titan arrives out of the blue, out of nowhere. And of course, there's not social media, there's not anything, so nobody knows who Jimi Hendrix is. Gets up, jams, and is obviously a phenomenal player. Absolutely got, and Clapton's blown away by it, isn't he? He's absolutely blown away by it. Not in a negative way. He's just like, wow, get that.
They wanted to hang out. They wanted to do stuff together, so huge influence on Eric Clapton. And this is I'll give you guys a bit of a heads up because this is going to be part of the Layla marathon show that Simon and I are going to do next month. I'll give you a heads up. So we all know why Eric said that it had everything to do with Patty Boyd, But I'm going to. This is my. I think there was his inability to handle the death of Jimi Hendrix. I think that had a role to play in Eric's.
No, okay, yeah. Spending a year hiding in his house.
Yeah.
Mm.
And the giveaway is about 4 or 5 years later when they're on the train tour and Clapton is half boozed and they're asking him about Jimmy. And this is why film is so important to rock and musicians like us and music fans, because it gives you an insight that probably no journalist could give you. And it focuses clearly on Clapton's face, and he's got tears when he's talking about Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh, there was a great affinity, wasn't there? Great, massive, love and respect between, Clapton had for Hendrix. Apps for sure, completely. Yeah. So that kind of jealous rage nonsense is nonsense. I think, I don't see. You know, I think there'll be a part of Clapton that thought, "Thank God, there's somebody arrived who can do the Clapton is God bit." You know what I mean? I'm
I,
sure there's
I,
a bit of him that thought that, don't you?
thank you for saying that. Thank you, because that's exactly the point that I want to take. It's exactly that. It's like finally, I've got this black guy from America who's a representative of this music that I've been playing, and he's here in London. Wow.
Yeah.
Come to my place and play with me.
Yeah. And I think it's that thing about Clapton. Yeah, my understanding is that Clapton obviously felt the pressure of people going around spraying on walls. Clapton is God, didn't he? You know, which is what all that thing business is about. Then backing away from that guitar hero thing and doing something different. And and I think that having somebody who's come along and lighten the load, take the pressure. We can't say that, Kubrick lover, not on here. That whether Jimi Hendrix was in New Zealand around the now I'm just being scurrilous. I apologise to the memory of your mother. That's disgraceful. Apologise humbly. Oh dear. That's it. So yes, Susie. I know, Susie. Going back to your point, I understand what you mean. I feel. I don't think Eddie Van Halen is overrated. I don't think he is. I think I understand his, place in the firmament of rock and stuff. But he doesn't move me in the way that Hendrix moves me, and that's all my fault, not anybody else's. Not his fault.
And I understand that because I've read some reports since Eddie's passed away, and people are saying, but again, we're not. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's fine, and no one's kicking you in the knees for because, and just like earlier we agreed, Jimmy sang, and a lot of guys are saying, you had Hendrix and you had Van Halen as far as guitar innovators go. Of course, no one's going to, if you're a musician or a guitar nut, disagree with that. I don't think. There's a shitload of guys and girls in between too that you can nod and pat and say hey and agree with. But the point that I want to make when we're having that comparison, because we can compare, we're human beings, we're allowed to compare. It makes it easier for us to understand something. And that's the key. So when someone's comparing somebody or something to something, don't judge them too harshly because we're trying to understand something. But the point that I want to make is that Jimmy sang.
Yeah.
And that goes back to my original thing at the beginning of the show where I didn't understand Jimmy when I first heard Jimmy, but now I do in the context of him being a fuller musician. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. Yeah. As I say, for me, I like being able to draw lines between, so you can see the line from Hendrix to Eddie Van Halen in terms of, and absolutely,
Interesting point on that Smithsonian interview that he had a couple of years ago, and you guys need to check it out. And we've mentioned this before too.
I've watched that.
Where the woman who's interviewing Eddie, she hasn't done a lot of research, which again is why we in our channel and channels like ours have a role to play, because at least we can have some fuller research, organic research, and we rely on you guys in the chat to obviously help us too. Simon and I aren't saying we're experts at all. I'm not saying that. We're just fans. Okay, so don't jump down. But the point is that this woman was interviewing Eddie, and she was trying to make the connection to Jimi Hendrix, saying, Jimi Hendrix, 3 or 4 times, and Eddie jumps down and says, no, it was Clapton.
Yeah.
And it gets quite forceful there, saying Clapton was my influence. So if the presenter had done the research, well, okay,
Might have
well,
done that.
she made a mistake, or the person that done the research for her and gave her the script. You know,
Maybe.
again, but I think what they've done, Simon, is, you know, someone that likes a bit of music for the Smithsonian has just made that automatic connection. Oh, you know, Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, you know.
Yeah, sure, and I'm well aware that actually Clapton was Eddie Van Halen's great hero for sure. I mean, you know, it's kind of you know, completely. I'm aware of that, but I
And
think
let's get
that we
Alan.
just.
Sorry. So if you guys were in the chat yesterday, we had Alan Gerber jump on, and he's going to come. Yeah.
Is he going to come back?
Yeah.
I'd like to do so.
I'm trying like heck. So we'll get him on. You and I and Steve Anderson and him, and he's going to. He's done some wonderful research, unbelievable research on the tunings that Eddie uses. And a couple of the scales that Eddie uses in Cream, that Clapton used in Cream, that Eddie's used right throughout his career.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, that'd be really interesting. Not something I know anything about at all, so that'd be great. Yeah. See, Susie, I know nothing of Buckethead at all. I know a name, and and I know he played with Guns N' Roses, but I just, you know, I don't know. I'm going to have a completely caricature version of you know, of a man with a sort of Kentucky Fried Chicken thing over his KFC bucket over his head, which just seems a bit bizarre to me. But that's all I know, and I realise that's a caricature and not even a real opinion of anything really. But you know, other than, does a man seriously have to wear a KFC bucket on his head to play? Nobody knows. He does.
Yeah, well, look, you know, you're not the only one, Simon. You know, I'm probably, you know, a product of my age. I don't get it, but, you know, I've spoken to a few guys, you know, through work, younger guys who are, you know, guitar music lovers, and, you know, he's their generation's EVH.
Yeah, okay. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, Mitch Heyman says, I know that Buckethead is a speed demon. Yeah. Again, that's I'd go for feel over speed any day. You know, it's because I started previous to speed. Really, you know, nobody. I suppose, with the exception of probably Ritchie Blackmore in the early '70s, nobody. You know, David Gilmour's not a speed guy. Jimmy Page is a bit. I'll give you Jimmy Page. You know, it's a bit more, but not all the time. Not by any. You know. I don't think of Hendrix as being Mr. Speed guitar either, really. Clapton, not really. You know? Do you know what I mean? So, yes, the kind of the speed guitar I think of as being an 80s phenomenon, really. People playing really fast, really technically, you know, on it kind of thing, I think as being an 80s thing.
Yeah. Hey, buddy, you know. I've got to go.
You've got to go. You've got things to do. We've done an hour and 43. Yeah, let's say so. Yes. So thank you very much, guys. So we recommend the Are You Experienced by the Jimi Hendrix Experience, whether UK or US editions. And I'd like to thank everyone. Susie Cherry. Thank you, Susie, for moderating.
Hold on.
That's really cool.
What? Hold on.
This just in.
So the record that I'm going to do skiffle play with next week is Eric Clapton's From the Cradle. So if you guys want to check that album out on Spotify, if you haven't, that's your homework for this week.
From the Cradle, giving us a heads up. I was going we're going for the surprise. That's okay.
No,
cool.
No, it's not fair. No, it's not fair doing surprises. We you know, we need to all do homework, and then we can come back in here and
come back. Yeah. Cool. Okay, fantastic. Well, there we are. From the Cradle for next week. So thanks to Great Vanzini, Mitch Heyman, DC, Susie. Thanks, Susie Gosford, Mitch Heyman, Kubrick Lover. Who else have we had? Crucible of Fire. That's a great name. Christopher Yeleskas. Ilescas. Hopefully, not butchering your name too much, Christopher. So, and Hack, of course, and Brad. Thank you, Brad, for dropping by. We enjoyed it, and we won't be getting a ticking off from you because we didn't pass on any of the songs. Close. So yeah, guitar Mickey Settlemire as well. Thanks, Nikki, and Nikki Ice, and Gussie Wells. I see Gussie Wells. Hopefully we sent them all off to sleep. So thanks all for joining and making the show with all your comments and questions and things. Really good. That's what we like in this community. We want it to be very much a community view. And so thanks very much for all of that. And we'll see you next week for In the Cradle, from the Cradle.
Yeah. And if all goes well, I might be doing a live test stream with Brad. Are you still in the chat, Brad? Because you guys may be aware Brad's had some internet connection issues. So and we want to get him on and join Simon and I on a regular basis. But so we might just go live in a couple of days. Nothing in particular. Just to see if his connection is going. Is he probably not in the chat? Might have to message him. But yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate your help and your support.
Right, okay. Yeah, cool. Yes, thank you very much, guys. And yeah, thank you for all the support. And much karma. Take care all. See you next week. Stay safe. Bye.